Now is the video about IP obfuscation. Where to start? First, what is an IP address? Obviously, it's your kind of address at your house or wherever you are, or your phone or whatever, that says it's a unique identifier for you with a website. And the website will oftentimes give you problems if you try to create too many accounts with too many IPs and other things such as email addresses, even in the same browser. You know, oftentimes through the implementation of dirty tactics, websites inject everything from JavaScript into other things into your browser to where they get back responses that tell you everything about your computer or device, even down to the date and time on your current device. So it's very difficult to be able to pretend to be a different device or a different person when you're trying to create multiple accounts for marketing purposes. So if you want to have any type thing to do with marketing and the type of marketing that requires multiple accounts, you're going to have to learn about IP obfuscation. IP obfuscation can take several forms, and the first form is proxies. Okay, now proxies are good if you get the correct proxies. You have to look for what would be known as residential United States proxies. Now, if you look online, and I could make money telling you where to go, and maybe eventually one day someone will be a sponsor. I have, some in mind, but there are residential proxy services that literally give you one proxy that you use where the IP changes every 3 minutes after it tunnels through to their system. So every 3 minutes, as far as websites are concerned, you would have a different, unique, individual residential IP address. Now, you always want residential because obviously they don't want some data center IP, which is most proxies. They don't want something that looks artificial. They want to think like you're a real person in a real house, you see? And they give you the most leniency when you do that type of thing. You can change your proxy oftentimes and be able to automatically be able to make multiple accounts, sometimes without even phone verification, which is another thing that I can teach you about. How to do phone verification, how to get phone numbers that you can use over Wi-Fi for as little as $10, right? Google Voice numbers, things like that. There are so many tools in my toolbox that I'm going to share with you that a monkey could make money, okay? Now back to the IP obfuscation. There are several tools that will help you on a computer to be able to use these proxies. Now, you can always enter it directly into the browser, but if you want something that's system-wide for the computer, where you want to enter in a proxy into an application on your computer as an application, that will then change the IP address on everything on the computer. Such as, let's say you were running something like BlueStacks or Genymotion, which are Android emulators, which will allow you to create unlimited virtual environments in which you can download apps and then use those apps for your marketing purposes. You can automate things like that very simply as well, and I'll teach you how to do that in later videos. That being said, I want to get back to the point. Proxifier, look that up. Proxifier, like proxy fire. Proxifier. That is a great program. You'll have to look up some tutorials on how to set it up. I do not do that type of things on this channel. There are better people that have made detailed explanations on how to do all of these things. I won't waste my own time with it. So look up Proxifier, look for some residential IP providers. If you're buying only one, just to use as a system-wide proxy, let's say that you were wanting your computer to seem like it's in the United States, but you're actually living abroad, a residential proxy is an excellent, excellent decision. I will go into more parts of IP obfuscation at a later date, but also you shouldn't pay more than $10 at the most per month for a residential IP proxy. I mean, really, that's kind of high. Try to get what's referred to as SOC 5 proxies. These are usually the easiest to use. They work with the most programs, and you'll just have a lot less problems than HTTP proxies. Some different applications might need different types of proxies. Really look at what you're trying to do before you decide which proxy to buy. There's a lot of things to learn about proxies. You'll have to do a lot of research on the different proxy types and things like that. But residential proxy IPs are the building block of everything that you will do. Now, there are other ways to get residential IP proxies, and we'll go into those now. Also, you are given one by your internet service provider, right? That's obviously the easiest course of action. Now, if you have a cable or fiber optic modem, you're going to have to go into the administrative settings of that router and do some relatively complicated things that, once again, you can look up for your router, how to change the IP address, or even how just the basics of changing it on whether you have fiber or whether you have a cable modem. There are ways of doing it. Additionally, DSL. Now, DSL is dying, but if you're still fortunate enough to be in an area with DSL, every time you disconnect and reconnect that modem, you will be assigned a new residential IP address. You can automate this process through a batch file or something like that. They're relatively simple to make. You'll have to look up how to do that process. Do your research. But if you have a DSL modem, you're very fortunate. Very fortunate. It's a very powerful tool. It's also a very valuable tool. You know, if you have a DSL line in your house, or if you have the ability to get DSL lines in your house, you can literally rent those out to people that want to use them for this type of purpose. And they will oftentimes pay up to $100 a week just to be able to have access to your IP pool, which you would never get in trouble for. Alright. There are lots of ways to make money, and we're going to go over them all slowly but surely on this channel. You're going to have an information overload of things that you can do to make money. And I think that covers the basics of IP obfuscation, at least in ways that are relatively uncommon but kind of compact. And one little thing for you to go and do some research, and you need to do your homework. You're going to have to learn about everything that I said in detail before you'll even have a basic understanding. And once you do, once the people cry out for it, I will make part 2.